What's up, guys? That Matt Money here, wanting to talk about if I believe the SPY is in a bubble and index funds in general, and if we're about to pop that bubble. So we'll get into it. We'll talk about valuations, and if you enjoy the content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and here we go. Okay, so to begin, we're going to have to ask ourselves, what is a stock market bubble? So stocks and funds have one value, their true value, which would be about, let's say the SPY's true value would be $200. So that's what it is actually worth. And then the actual price of the stock is way higher. So let's say the actual value is 200, but the stock is worth 350 due to people buying in and buying in, then the actual value of it is not there. So it's in a bubble. So the actual value is 200, it's at 350, it would be in a bubble just because valuations are not there. So a stock market bubble is when things get way overvalued. The biggest bubble that I have ever seen was MJ stocks. So we're going to go ahead and hop onto Robinhood, and this was just last year that all this stuff happened. So we're going to hop on Robinhood and take a look at MJ stocks here real quick.
So here when we hop over into Robinhood, they have a cannabis area, and we're going to look at Canopy Growth real quick. It's currently a $17 stock, and it was all the way up to $50. Next is Kronos Group down at $6.50, and its price was about $22. And then the third one we're going to go ahead and look at is Aurora Cannabis, and it was up to about $120. And these were just flying up for no reason, just because people thought growth was going to happen like crazy. So you can see the valuations were just not there for these particular companies.
So, is the SPY heading for a bubble? Well, we need to kind of figure out a way to gauge where its value is at and to see if it is overvalued at the moment. So to do this, and to give you an example, we're going to go ahead and calculate a PE, a price to earnings ratio. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and use Apple as an example. So you're going to go ahead and take the price, and you're going to divide it by the earnings, PE. So easy enough to do that. And you want to use the trailing 12 month for the earnings because you need a year's worth of earnings when calculating the PE. So we're going to go ahead and do Apple. So Apple's stock price is $350. The trailing 12 month earnings was about $12.75. So 350 divided by 12.75, we have a PE of 27.50. And you're telling me, Matt, well, this is all well and good, but I don't know what the heck a good deal is on a PE. And I would say on average where the market's been for a good, maybe not even good, maybe just a fair deal would be probably in the realm of 15 to 20, and I really wouldn't want to pay 20. So let's say a good to fair deal is probably around 15 to 20. So is the SPY heading for a bubble? So let's look at the PE of the SPY today. So the PE for the SPY is 22. So I wouldn't say that's bubble territory, but I would certainly say like overvalued territory. So what did we see in the other bubble that we saw? So MJ stocks didn't even have a PE because they weren't making any money yet. They were all just potential high growth stock plays and people were diving into it like crazy. So the SPY PE is currently 22, but we're going to look and see what companies are making up the SPY and if any of their earnings in the future are going to change that PE. So let me just jot down all those companies and let's take a quick look. All right, so I just wrote down a couple companies up here whose earnings are going to be affected in some way, shape, or form. So let's hop in to see what we got going on. So the first two are obviously airline plays where the earnings for airlines are terrible. I mean, American Airlines, they're not flying anybody with the Rona. Boeing is not making any planes because air traffic is down so significantly with the Rona. So earnings for these guys are going to be absolutely demolished, but reduced. Carnival and Norwegian are making donut right now. They're not making anything until they get those ships out, and who knows when that's going to be. So that's a pretty tough play too. Would you want to have companies that are potentially going to have zero earnings, and if there's a second wave, they could possibly go bankrupt in your index fund? I don't know. MGM just opened back up in Vegas. Who knows how that's going to go? If there's another wave, if they have to have such a reduced capacity, if people even want to go to casinos. So much in the air for the valuation of MGM. And then we have oil plays that are in the S&P 500. And these are just quick ones that I found. You can Google S&P 500 and see what's all in there. I think it's like 550 stocks or so. You can go ahead and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But there's the oil plays there. So oil's getting demolished because nobody's using oil. So There's the oil plays there, and then vehicle makers that are also in there. There's GM and Ford. So nobody's really buying vehicles right now. And granted, I do understand that a good chunk, like I believe, you correct me, I believe 15 to 20% of the SPY is FANG stocks. And I think those guys are not going to be significantly damaged by the Rona. I do think they're overvalued though. And I think all of the companies that are in a situation like this could propel it into a bubble situation where they're just not having any earnings and the value is not there. So the price of it just goes way above what the actual value is. So we'll see what happens with all these companies, I guess. All right, so let's have a little conclusion on what we kind of just talked about. And I talked just very simply about just one way to measure the market. So pretty simple analogy here. So the PE right now of the SPY is 22. So I would say definitely based on the trailing 12-month overvalued, but not bubble territory. So, and when we're thinking of the PE, we're talking price to earnings. Now it's made up of about 550 companies. So of those 550, do you honestly believe that a good chunk of those companies are not going to be affected by the Rona, where they're not getting, the companies I listed had significant hits to their earnings. I would think a lot of these companies would have at least decent hits to their earnings. So I'm pretty bearish on it. I would not say it's in a bubble right now, but I would say once earnings come out, Q3 earnings, once those come out, I think we could be in bubble territory. So overall, I'm just bearish on the market in general. I think everything is pretty overvalued and priced very optimally. So I think that we are not in a bubble, but I think we sure could be real soon, just based on the PE, and I know there's way more factors than that. So, is it in a bubble? No, but I think it will be soon. So, if you guys like the content, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. You guys have a good one.